Looks like we're stuck. You know, like a needle on a scratch record.
It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about.
It's a thing where the same day keeps happening?
I wake up every day right here, right in Punxsutawney, and it's always February 2nd.
Time.
I promise to explain everything later, but I need you to trust me.
Slow down! What are you, in a damn time loop or something?
Groundhog Day Project blog, day 100, dated 10th November 2013. I've seen it over 100 times. As I write this, it's day 2 for Phil Connors on the DVD, and my daughters are in the kitchen making a cake to celebrate day 100 for me. The movie Phil had seen over 100 times, or so he tells Lorraine, was Heidi II. It's a family classic, according to the Alpine Theater's marquee. But, as I've mentioned before, it doesn't exist. Originally, the movie that Phil could see every day if he wanted to was It's a Wonderful Life. Danny Rubin's ego, and this is his suggestion, not mine, made him believe Groundhog Day had a timeless quality and had the potential to become a film that would work for audiences for a very long time. So he put another such film on the marquee. But, even believing that Groundhog Day was a potential classic, Rubin never was thinking of comparing it to It's a Wonderful Life. I'd say putting that title on the marquee was Rubin deliberately comparing the two, but maybe that's just me. Rubin continues, but the similarities between that movie and this one were clearer to Harold, Ramis, and I had to agree with his argument that putting that movie on the marquee was too self-referential. Heidi II is kind of funny. That's Lampoony-style humor and not so much mine, but it's a good gag. I've previously mentioned that there was a Heidi II in existence at the time Groundhog Day came out, but it was not a family film, but a German porn film. Thing is, apparently that film, actual German title, Heidi II, Im Wald und auf der Heidi, didn't come out until 1996. It's the sequel to a film that came out in 1992, i.e., it existed before the time loop. Oh, I must interrupt to point out that no, the time loop is actually in 1991. You've heard the math probably in multiple episodes of this show so far. But at the time I hadn't done that calculation, I guess. By the way, the first film is simply titled Im Wald und auf der Heidi, which Babelfish translates amusingly, remember it's a porn film, as In the Forest and on the Heidi. That film, and the Heidi II and Groundhog Day, is presumably based on the 1880 novel by Johanna Spyri about an orphan girl living with her alcoholic grandfather in the Swiss Alps. Interesting thing, considering that Ramis went with Heidi II just to have a silly non-existing family film that no one would ever want to watch day in and day out on the marquee, the novel was originally published in 2 parts. Part 1 was titled Heidi's Years of Learning and Travel. Part 2, which we might assume is the movie playing at the Alpine in Phil's cinematic universe, was titled Heidi Makes Use of What She Has Learned. It is a nice bit of synchronicity that Groundhog Day might as well be at least subtitled Phil Makes Use of What He Has Learned. There's a bit of a sequel to Heidi, ostensibly a sequel to an art project that I am having trouble confirming has anything to do with Spyri's novel, that takes elements from the novel and, I'd say, updates them for a modern audience, but really it just kind of makes them weird. Then I had links to a review and, I guess a clip. But enough about Heidi II. Some things worth noting. Now I'm curious what makes it weird. Oh, the review no longer comes up. Neither link works anymore. So, I can't figure out what made it weird. I didn't even put a title here, so I don't know what it was. Wait, there was an art project on Vimeo. Nah, I don't feel it. Fuck it. But enough about Heidi II. Some things worth noting on this day 100. I read an interesting bit about Phil's ice sculpting recently that I hadn't considered. Ken Sains calls ice sculpting the perfect art form for Phil since everything he does will have melted away when he wakes up anyway. In Rubin's original, it's marble that Phil learns to sculpt. On the one hand, that's far more permanent than ice, obviously. On the other hand, Phil can sculpt the same piece of marble over and over and discover just what form works best. And another thing, I've wondered about the minivan in the last shot before the credits. As Phil and Rita head for the Cherry Street Inn's gate, a minivan pulls out of a driveway on the street ahead. I kind of figured it was just a local, not realizing they were filming right then, but I think I just decided it is actually far more strategic than that. I'll interrupt really quick in this paragraph because yes, it was deliberate, and I'll get to it when I get to that scene because I don't remember offhand. It's some production assistant or something driving the van. They wanted a little bit of movement in the shot. Continuing this entry, the minivan is one of the quintessential symbols of suburban family life, and where are Phil and Rita headed except into a future as a suburban family? It's the film reifying tradition all over again. Speaking of tradition, it is customary to celebrate things with cake. And here's the cake. And I'm going to have to use that as the photo for this entry because the entry ends with the picture of the cake, which had chocolate frosting and then was decorated with a red outline and little candy things, I don't know what those are, around in pink. Really big, it says Bing with a white exclamation mark.
Bing!
Knew you were gonna say that.
This has been a production of Lemming Drops Studio. You can find links to more at lemmingdrops.com or join the Facebook group Lemming Drops Studio Tour. Also, you can support all my shows at patreon.com/lemmingdrops.
What is wrong in the end which never comes? Or it comes again and again, lapping, like waves.
Since the Big Bang set everything in motion, everything that happens in this universe has to be the way it is. Particles unfolding the way they're destined to.
How do you sleep at night? You've never seen Groundhog Day?
Yeah, you know Groundhog Day is not a documentary.